So, so in the last class, we started discussing about Q value of a ring resonator, right? I think you remember this last page, what we discussed. Yeah. So before that, we have also discussed the free spectral range, and then Q value according to the definition. It's a omega frequency. Frequency means this frequency corresponding to resonance frequency. Okay, so any Q value you define for any device or system that is related to resonator. So if it is a resonator, for optical resonator, it's a resonance frequency that matters actually. So that is the reason we consider this omega times energy stored divided by power dissipation. Okay, power dissipation, that means your energy dissipation per unit time, that is power. Energy dissipation per unit time, we have written this thing. And in principle, we can write omega equal to 2 pi by t, and then multiplied by, as usual, energy stored divided by energy dissipation per unit time. And t is the time period of the frequency, right? That's the oscillation frequency. That means very fast you have to consider the frequency of 195 terahertz and so on. And that gives you T multiplied by energy dissipation per unit time. That means we can say that energy dissipation per cycle of oscillation. Per cycle of oscillation at resonant wavelength. Okay. So that is how we discussed. But we need to derive a formula from which you can directly estimate what could be the Q value if some parameters are given for the ring resonator in all pass configuration. Okay, so let us try to do that. So we continue the Q value. Q value of a micro ring resonator in all pass configuration. Okay, let us define a parameter called TC. TC is the what you call that, cavity mode, decay lifetime of the cavity mode. Decay time or decay lifetime or whatever, decay time of the cavity mode. So I think you understand something we have introduced, cavity mode. Cavity mode is nothing but that is actually there will be guided mode, but the mode at resonant wavelength, we mean to say. Decay time means what? What do you expect decay time of a cavity, of a resonator? Can you suppose a micro ring resonator given to you? You have some equipment, minimum equipment, whatever required to measure the characteristics. So how you set up your experiment so that you can measure the decay time? Any idea?
Maybe we measure the energy over time, so that at
Yes.
what point the energy
So,
deteriorates, we can.
so if you have a ring and you are launching continuously, right? And you know that at resonance certain energy will be, say energy I can define E, that is actually stored here in the cavity because it is resonant. So certain value will be, certain amount of energy will be stored, and then you can see that at resonance in the output side, if I see the transmission, so transmission will be at that particular resonance, that energy will be missing, and the missing energy is actually supplying the energy which is lost in the cavity. So you know the energy stored continuously, there is a loss because it is a traveling wave, right? Inside the ring, always electromagnetic wave is circulating. So that means there is a scattering losses, and also outcoupling losses will be there. It is coupling this way and then also coupling out also. Every cycle it will see some kind of losses. Right now, if you see that suddenly this is your lambda r you are launching, certain power you are launching and certain energy is being stored. And somehow at t equal to 0, if you just cut this point, that means your input is just terminated. Then what happens? You have a stored energy E is there. Maybe you can consider at t equal to 0 that energy was E0. Okay. Then as a function of time, if you try to see, now there is no supply. That means this energy, stored energy, that will start decaying in course of time. Typically, it is a natural process, no? It's a kind of ring resonator and it has some loss parameter. Any natural process decays exponentially. You know, it's a natural process. So that's why we can say that the energy stored inside the cavity, if we just try to find out, can be represented by, because it is a natural process, there is no influence from outside, only whatever property is inherent property, intrinsic property of the resonator, that actually contributes to this loss. That will be decayed exponentially. And this Tc is the time at which the energy will be reduced to 1 by E. That is your decay time. Hope it is clear. Now, if this is the natural process we follow, then we can simply write dE by dt. What we can write? dE by dt equal to minus 1 by Tc E0 Is that correct? I'm just making a derivative of that. So this is a standard way. Instead of writing this, we can write in a differential form that rate of change of energy in the cavity can be written as minus E by ET, I can write, right? ET by TC. So I can write this way, natural process, or I can write this way. Solution is like this. So this is just complementary to each other. This is the differential equation, and the solution will be like that. So in a ring resonator, when your incoming source is cut, then rate of change of energy inside the cavity can be defined by this differential equation, first order differential equation, so standard. Now I will take this forward. Let us write down this as equation number 1. Okay. And we define one more parameter which can be easily derived from the ring resonator parameter. That is what? Suppose we assume that a particular parameter, right, like TC, we introduce one more parameter called AL. What is that? This is actually, we can say that fractional intensity loss or energy loss, intensity or energy loss, fractional energy loss per round trip. You understand what that means? That means if I have a steady state condition in the ring resonator, one round trip travel time you consider, travel time of one round trip. If any electromagnetic wave, if you are just considering a group velocity, for example, for one pass of that wave, of that maybe if it is a pulse also, you can consider one round trip how much energy it is lost. You can consider instead of CW, you can consider a pulse is launched, and after one round trip how much energy it is lost from the pulse. And CW also you can calculate depending on the parameters available to you. So we assume that AL is the fractional intensity loss per round trip. because that is very important to will help us to find out the Q value of the resonator. Okay, in that case, if AL is the per round trip loss, then we define one more parameter called tau R. This tau R is, I have one time constant I've considered Tc and another is tau R. Tc is the energy decay time constant, and tau R we will be considering another time is for any pulse or any wave, how much time it takes for one round trip. So this is the round trip travel time. We can define this one as a round trip travel time, right? So that means we can have, if this is the round trip travel time, we can a little bit modify the equation 1. How we can write that? We can write something like that. dt equal to minus AL by tau R. Okay. Is that okay? Is that fine? Power dissipation. So I say that AL is the per round trip. Per round trip, whatever energy is being lost. Now round trip time is tau R, I divide it. That means per unit time, how much energy I am losing. Okay. So in that case, if I just this is the rate of change of, this left hand side is the rate of change of energy, and per unit time how much I am losing, that I am just getting proportional to E. So that equation will come forward. So in this case, if I consider this one as a equation number 2, then comparing 1 and 2, I can simply say that Tc equal to say tau R by AL. Okay. So if I know round trip time and energy loss, that way also I can just represent the time constant to time round trip time. Okay. So now I come back to my original equation of the Q. Q equal to say so-called omega times energy stored by energy loss per unit time. I can write like this. So this is the energy stored at an instant of time, for example, or if it is a original energy, we can write that one. And then how much steady state we can consider E0 also. For example, we are writing E. And dissipation, energy dissipation per unit time, I take ratio. So that is actually Q value. Now dE by dt, we have the definition different way we have represented in equation 1 and 2. So if we just substitute that value from equation 1 and 2, we can simply write that omega times energy divided by I have d by dt, I can write E times tau c, Tc. So basically E cancel, then it is coming omega Tc. So that means if we know decay time, if I can measure Tc, that what is the energy change in the cavity, inside cavity, if I have some, if I put, for example, if I just go back to previous page. Yeah. So this is a ring resonator. Suppose I have a tiny detector here and I cut the input launch thing and I try to measure what is the radiating, some scatter light I am trying to monitor as a function of time. That must be proportional to the energy stored inside the cavity. So that can be measured. So I see that what is the time required to decay to 1 by E energy, just 1 by E time constant I can find out. So you multiply with omega, then that is your Q value. So that is one way to find out the Q value, right? So this is something very important. Now, normally most of the time, any resonator with a loss, okay, you see the energy stored in the cavity. If you just consider this is your say omega naught or nu naught, then the intensity stored inside the cavity is typically a Lorentzian shape. Okay, this is a Lorentzian shape. If you just consider that normally we have derived, if it is a ring resonator, and we have derived transfer function, it is launched here, and then I just get the output here, and transfer function, we have seen that typically it is something like this. It is the inverse of the, just complementary of the Lorentzian shape you will be getting at the output. Energy accordingly you have to calculate. Okay, and this shape actually depends on this tau c value. That means how much narrow this resonance bandwidth, so-called FWHM, full width half maxima, that depends on tau c. If it is a Lorentzian shape, from the Fourier transform, you can easily show that. I'm not just deriving that one, that if it is a linear frequency is delta nu, and full width half maxima, if I just define like this, okay, that is actually, if it is a Gaussian, Gaussian also has a relationship, you know that. So frequency to time, their relationship that related to Fourier transform. So it is actually 2 pi times Tc. So this thing we will just consider, and we expect that this is known to you. Okay, and then we can say that this is FWHM. FWHM means I can find out if this is your normal value maxima 1, then you just come down to 0.5, and then you have this frequency and this frequency, omega 1 and omega 2. So omega 2 minus omega 1 will be your angular frequency half bandwidth. So you can just divide it by 2 pi, then 2 pi it comes here. Basically it is 1 by Tc is nothing but delta omega half. Delta omega half equal to 1 by Tc. So if I go to linear FWHM, then it will be 1 over 2 pi Tc, that is known. So if I have Tc is like this, okay, then Q value, I can write 1 over delta omega half. So Q value is omega Tc. So omega times 1 over Tc is this one, that means Tc equal to delta omega half. Okay, so that means you can write nu by delta nu half. You can write lambda by delta lambda half. They are proportional all. Lambda when I am writing, or omega I am writing, we must write the resonant frequency, one of the resonant frequency. So this is another way to find out your suppose you don't have any measuring system which can actually give you results as a function of time, but you can find what is the transmission. This thing you can transmission, you can change lambda value and you can see what is the output, and from there you can find out your FWHM, right? So in that case, if you know the resonant wavelength and if you can find the FWHM in terms of lambda or frequency, then also you can get a Q value. So this is the instrumentation part, that lambda resonant divided by delta lambda half, how to find. But that gives you the idea that how good quality of your microring resonator can be. Typically, I think if you have remember when you studied your electrical circuit like RLC circuit or something like that, right? RLC circuit is a resonator circuit, you know that a particular bandwidth, it can store energy, and that energy can be coupled back and forth between inductor and capacitor, right? And basically R works there as a loss. L, inductor and capacitor, they are lossless component in the circuit. R is the loss. Here also you can consider there is a energy storage inside the microring resonator. Energy can couple back and forth between electric field and magnetic field. Normally it can be shown, particularly quantum mechanics, we discuss that. So it is a resonator. Energy, when it is stored inside the cavity, that stored what energy? This is electromagnetic energy. But when it is stored, that means somehow it is not static somewhere. Energy is always, sometimes how it is stored. It is static energy or traveling wave energy, or static or kinetic or something like that we define. And in this case, it is electromagnetic energy. Anywhere electromagnetic energy stored means basically energy flows back and forth between electric field to magnetic field. So it is a constant process. Okay. So that's what Faraday law, Ampere circuit law, all are actually evolved. So energy will be stored back and forth between electric field and magnetic field. And R actually contributes here. This is scattering loss, coupling losses, all those type of things. So why I'm just giving this analogy, in case of RLC, what is the typical Q value? Suppose you have solved there some problems also, probably you have constructed some circuit in your UG level courses, etc. So what is the typical band pass filter?
Sir?
Tell me.
Sir, you're not audible.
Is it? Since when?
No,
No, sir. No.
You're audible.
Oh, so I'm very much audible to others. You check, yeah. Maybe you.
I can see
Network problem.
Yeah, your network problem you solved, probably. Someone message him that to solve from his side. Maybe that would be okay. Fine. So now the question, my question is, in a typical RLC circuit, what is the Q value? Typical Q value you know about for a RLC circuit? For example, if you are considering a band pass filter.
I remember the equation.
An equation you know, but typical value I'm asking, Q value. Suppose you have a frequency and you have a band pass. That means that band pass you can find out
0.5. 0.5 around.
0.5. I think 0.5 is a very bad resonator if it is 0.5.
Okay, sir.
It should be some number more than 1. You see, 0.5 means you just imagine Q by this one. So your lambda R, suppose 1550 nanometer, and bandwidth has to be 3100, right? 3100. So that means your wavelength is 1550 nanometer, but resonance band is about 3 micron. Yeah. So that's a very bad resonator. So good resonator means your Q value has to be very good.
10 to the power of 5?
No, in RLC circuit I am talking.
100 maybe.
About 100, less than 100, 10, even 10, sometimes even MEMS resonator, everything, if you see, they have many applications, but the Q value is very less. One reason is that their operating frequency is lower. So this operating frequency is lower means this omega naught is lower, one way, and at the same time, your Q value can be kept high if delta omega FWHM is very less. Okay, but MEMS resonator or RLC resonators, their loss factor, this R, is so high and operating frequency is so less that your Q value is hardly in the order of 10, 15, and most of the time 100. So if someone working in even megahertz, kilohertz, even gigahertz domain, if Q value is 100 means that's very good quality filter. For example, if you are just considering what do you call that, up to 1 gigahertz per microwave for your mobile phone filter, tuner, or band pass filter you are using there. So 100 Q value is very good basically in that case, microwave engineering. But here in this case, the beauty of micro ring resonator, optical micro ring resonator is that, so your operating wavelength is 1550 nanometer, meaning your frequency is very large, right? It is a nanometer, very large frequency. At the same time, the optical waveguide loss is so low, you can get the Q value, this Q value in the order of, if it is a very good quality resonator, it can go up to 10 to the power 9 also. 1 billion. So you can imagine that the beauty you can expect. a filter you are getting such a narrow, just monochromatic you can consider resonance. Okay, that is the advantage. One advantage is that higher frequency, if you operate for any system, communication system, you can have an enormous bandwidth, and enormous bandwidth also to process that signal also, you need a very good filter also, and that filter also can be designed by integrated photonics structure, micro ring resonator here. So typically it can be 10 to the power 9, but yeah, if it is loss is very low, people demonstrated that Q value can go up to 10 to the power 9, but it's little bit complication is there to fabricate that such a low loss waveguide. But in our case, in our lab also, we have demonstrated, our student demonstrated Q value in the order of 10 to the power 5 and to 10 to the power 6. Okay, so Q value can be typically just you fabricate in a standard lab, you get easily this type of Q value. So such a high Q value has many applications. We will see, for example, micro ring resonator. We will see that there are applications in microwave engineering as well as quantum domain also. So that is one thing, Q value. So one consideration we have shown that we are talking about loss, Q value and losses, etc. We are talking, but only loss is the major value, or any other parameter of the ring resonator contributes to the Q value?
The coupling loss.
That which loss?
Like the loss due to the coupling between this straight waveguide and the ring.
Coupling loss. You mean to say coupling loss?
Yes, yes.
Oh, that is loss anyway. We consider other than loss, any other parameter you can just control so that you can get a better Q value. They are basically in RLC circuit. You have to just consider R. This resistance should be as low as possible, right? And also the resonance frequency, desired resonance frequency, of course. So here also you are operating wavelength. That is one important thing. Okay, suppose I want a resonator at 1550 nanometer, lambda naught. So to have a high Q value, the ultimate goal is that your delta FWHM should be as small as possible, right? Then only Q value lambda naught by delta lambda will be very high, and that ensures that your energy stored inside the cavity will be somewhat very high, or maybe it can hold energy for a longer time. That is what we can interpret in a different way. So let us try to see. Okay, now you see we have Q value, Q expression we have defined earlier is omega times tau r by AL, right? That is what we have shown earlier. I think if you just go back to the previous slide. Yeah, somewhere we have just mentioned. Yeah. So if you use this equation here instead of d dt, so you can just involve AL here directly also. I have used d dt from here. This equation I have used. Now if I use equation 2, then I can say that the Q value is this one. Now AL, this is a loss factor, of course, per round trip, how much you are losing. Okay, if I just, this can be easily found out, what is the loss parameter and what is the coupling coefficient, etc. That gives you this parameter. But what is tau r? Tau r is the round trip time, right? So round trip travel time. So omega by AL, this is known. For example, omega is corresponding to resonant wavelength, I can say, right? And tau r is basically Ng. Who is that? Hariri. Just hold on. Okay, so Ng L by C. NGL, what is that? C by Ng means L is the perimeter of the ring, and C over Ng, meaning L by Vg. That means perimeter and group velocity. Okay, so this is the thing. So what does it mean? you have omega naught and ng, just 1 minute, group index and AL. That means if your perimeter length is more, keeping AL fixed, you are just increasing the perimeter length, keeping AL constant, for example. Suppose your waveguide is very minimal loss, even if you increase the length, normally your AL will be increasing, because so if you are increasing length, AL is the round trip loss. Round trip loss also will be increasing. But thing is that the that L by AL, this ratio can be increased if your loss is minimum, not so high loss in the waveguide. So that is highly possible that AL can be kept as small as possible, but you can increase the length. So in that case, your Q value can be high. So it is obviously now what is the volume of the resonator? The resonator volume is higher, means you can store more energy. Obviously, if your loss parameter, if you don't consider much, it's lossy, etc. So you can say that more energy will be there. Another thing is that NG, the group index. Higher the group index, better is the Q value. Higher the group index means, in other sense, you can say that lower is the group velocity. So it travels slower, it will lose energy, it will store more energy. So these are the parameter we can just interpret in terms of electromagnetic theory. And another way, from the transmission characteristics, you can also easily find, you can try that one, delta lambda half, because you know where is the transmission peak resonance, because Lorentzian shape we know where is the transmission peak. So from that formula you can find out the frequency, at which frequency there will be lower and at which frequency there will be higher. So if you put that one directly, if you are just considering a ring with a self-coupling coefficient is R and cross-coupling coefficient is T, okay, and round trip loss, we know that A we are considering, round trip loss factor is A if we know, and from the delta nu half, if we just calculate, then we can show that this Q expression can be directly expressed in terms of group index, in terms of length, in terms of self-coupling coefficient, in terms of what you call that, the round trip loss factor, and then lambda resonant and 1 minus RA. So this thing you can actually directly derive from the formula we have derived earlier. So you try as a home assignment. This is the actual Q value. So basically, whenever you are designing a ring resonator, you have a control over R and T. You may not have control over A, because that depends on the technology. Because scattering loss depends on which technology you are using. It can be your lab, if you are using lab ambience or everything, then the waveguide scattering loss because of the surface roughness, smoothness, etc., that actually contributes to loss. If you were in a foundry, that can be reduced. Or you can have a better thing. Sometimes what happens after fabrication, you just process the carbon dioxide laser over so-called reflow. That time the surface will become more smoothened and loss will be reduced. Those things can be possible. Mostly it is technology dependent. This A, this round trip loss factor, the waveguide loss, alpha e to the power minus alpha L equal to A. L is the things. But R and T you can design depending on the coupling interaction length, the directional coupler, coupled mode theory we have learned. Okay, by controlling that, you can actually define, you can actually control the Q value of the ring resonator. You just think about, suppose A is negligibly small. That means round trip per round trip, you are getting almost, say, round trip loss factor. A can be in the order of just 0.9999, something like that you can get. Okay. A can be 1, close to 1 also. If it is a lossless waveguide, that means A equal to 1. Round trip loss factor is 1. Nothing is being lost. So you can put A equal to 1, then you can get a very good formula where actually it depends, it gives you free hand to design what would be the value of R. Depending on R, you can find out what would be the Q value. And one more thing you should keep in mind, that L Q is proportional to, here it is shown that Q is proportional to L. But in fact, it cannot be proportional to L because sometimes A also involved as you increase the length. Simply you cannot say that it is proportional to length as long as you are considering waveguide loss per unit time, everything, yeah. And one problem is there. So people could think about that, okay, if waveguide loss is significantly low, if you can keep on increasing L more and more, you can get more Q value. What is the problem in it? Do you see any problem if you keep on increasing L? Anyone?
I think the non-linearity.
No. Why non-linearity? Suppose it is a non-linear material, no non-linearity is there present. Any other thing? Non-linearity, of course, Q value increase, non-linearity will be there, a lot of other issues will be there. But that non-linearity also you want sometime for quantum mechanical application, quantum photonic application. Now, my question is, suppose L you are increasing. Any other figure of merits you have to.
If I make L bigger, then we have more loss because the path is longer.
Suppose the loss is somewhat compromised, so that increasing L, whatever you gain with the denominator, loss may be not that much contributing. We have seen that for a given waveguide, even if we fabricate in our lab, if I just go for a longer length, though loss increases bit, but Q value is increasing. We get.
Sir, as L increases, then the thing is that I think there should be change in the coupling region.
No, so you see, I can have design something like that. You just think about it. I think you are doing many projects. Some of you must be doing ring resonator also. I can have ring resonator something like this. Right? Or I can have a ring resonator something like this, right? Something like this. Coupling region I can control, and then I can go something like this. This can be your ring. I can increase the length. Is not it? And we have seen if you increase the length, the Q value increases. One problem is that footprint. You cannot just think about large area footprint. You want to make a compact device, right? That is one problem. But what you could do, you can just make some kind of spiraled structure so that you can compact this thing. If your waveguide loss is somewhat minimized, that is a problem. Other than that, any other problem you can think of?
Like the modes that will be supported will be different. Like the wavelengths that will be supported for resonance.
Yeah, but the resonance condition is, if you see beta L equal to 2 m pi, is that correct? So your M can be higher. Suppose I want to, I can, is it 2 pi by lambda n effective, right? And then L equal to M times 2 pi. So if I increase L, suppose lambda are fixed, I just increase the L, my M order of the resonance will be increasing. Still, I can maintain my resonance wavelength. I can fix my resonant wavelength at 1550. Just L increase and just I will have a different order of resonance. That's it.
Sir, SSR decreases.
That is one problem. Because FSR, if you see, FSR free spectral range is C by NGL. That means free, if you see the resonant wavelength, it will be coming like this, right? Sorry, it should be like this. Inside the cavity whenever stored. So this is your FSR. So you have to be careful that your FSR should not be very small, because in that case, your instrument, your laser source or your detection system may not be able to resolve these two resonance. They are coming very close probably. Okay. So that is what also you don't want, because sometimes you can have a multiple channels coming and you want only one channels to be resonant. But if you see that some undesired channels also getting resonance for other order, m equal to some other different order, that is where you will be getting. So then that wavelength also will be suffered. So that is the reason FSR should not be smaller. So you cannot really, by increasing AL, gaining Q value is not a good solution. One problem to say footprint. Another problem is that the FSR you will lose, it will reduce. So that is the reason we introduce one more parameter also, that is called finesse. I think FINNESSE, finesse. So what is that? The finesse is actually, it is typically represented by just italics F. F is nothing but, what you know? That is FSR by delta nu half, full width half maxima. Okay. So what is the resonance bandwidth? And you take a ratio with FSR. That is actually your finesse. Normally this FSR in RLC circuit, it can be 2, 3 or something like that, maybe maximum 10 or something like that. Finesse, this finesse I mean to say. But here finesse can be more than 100, 200, something like that in micro ring resonator. So finesse is the another parameter you should consider for different application. You can just figure of merits. Whenever you talk about figure of merits of a micro ring resonator, optical micro ring resonator, these three parameters are normally people look for. One is Q value, finesse, and FSR. But most of the time, finesse of a micro ring resonator is relatively large. That does not matter much. But only Q value and FSR, that if you concentrate, that is good enough. Okay. Now, I would give you a task also. You try to find out. I think there is, you can search also one paper. I would not discuss much details into ring resonator, but whatever we have discussed so far, that is good enough to learn by yourself by reading a review paper. A very good review paper normally we used to give as a study material to our students. I think Ramon and Subarna, can you just upload one that paper of Bim Bogarts, that micro ring resonators?
Okay, sir. Okay.
So that that is a that only micro ring resonator. Some detailed study is there. Very nice paper. If you just read, then you can understand this everything. Minute details already discussed, and whatever fundamental things required I have already discussed. And there also another one type of device it is considered, and straightforward also. This is add drop multiplexer type thing also it's considered in that paper. So you just study that by your own. I am not considering that here. So if you have a ring resonator something like this, and here you can consider that the coupling coefficients are R1 and T1, and this one is R2 and T2. Then you can try to find out, you have one output here and another output here you will be getting, assuming that nothing is coming in this port. Okay, so I can say T pass, and here we can write the TD. So I suggest you, in that paper also it is not given also step-by-step derivation. Okay, so similar to all pass configuration, I suggest you to calculate TP, that means transfer function in through normally through port, and TD. What is the expression for transfer function for TP and TD? That you derive by yourself and match whatever the expression given in that paper. And if you face some problem, then we can discuss. I want to give you as an assignment, as you were saying that you have plenty of time at home, so you can do also something, learn by doing also by yourself. Okay, that thing you try to here. If you I just give you some hint to understand this thing qualitatively, so that in your derivation you will find easier. It is something like a Fabry-Pérot cavity. If you have a two mirror, okay, so you have R1, R2, R1, T1. So you can consider R1 and T1 is the R1 is the reflection and T1 is the transmission here. And this is R2 is the reflection coefficient and T2 is the transmission coefficient. Two mirrors are there and you are launching from this side. So here also, if you are launching from this side, then something going self-coupling R1 and something is going here and something coming out. And what is going here? It is faced another coupler here, meaning another mirror. So there also you can get something reflected back and something going out. Okay, so here you see it goes back and forth, then reflect, then something goes out here and something comes here, reflection in this Fabry-Pérot cavity normally, right? But in this case, you don't see that something coming back in the same direction. What I mean to say that if you have a mirror here and mirror here, if you launch partial mirror R1, T1 and R2, T2. So then you have one port you are launching and then you have option that something will coming out in the same direction, in the reverse direction, and something will go this direction. So one input, two output ports. Output you will be getting in the transmission and reflection. But here you don't see reflection. You see transmission TP and reflection, instead of coming back in the same direction, you get in this direction, TD. Okay, so that is the only difference. Otherwise, you don't see any difference between Fabry-Pérot resonator and this one. Okay, I'll be discussing this Fabry-Pérot resonator a little more detail, because this Fabry-Pérot resonator is useful to understand our different type of lasers, laser cavity. Also, I'll be just discussing a little bit of DBR, because grating structure I have not discussed yet. I'll just move on to the grating now. So all the things so far we have discussed, that is actually coupled mode theory for co-directional coupling. If both the waves propagating in the same direction, how they are coupling, and from there I have moved to a directional coupler, ring resonator, Mach Zehnder interferometer, everything. So we'll be giving also some paper on Mach Zehnder interferometer related things, particularly for filter design, etc. Those reading article I will be giving, you read that. But I would like to discuss a little more about grating structure, which is a very important component for integrated photonics, integrated optics, for demonstrating different class of lasers as well as different classes of filters. And now it is very popular in designing high extension filters also for photonics integrated circuit, particularly is very important for quantum photonic circuits. We are also studying in that direction. So I'll be just discussing from the next class onwards that grating DBR, that means backward propagation, that coupling between forward propagating wave to backward propagating wave. Okay, so all these ring resonator related things, I suggest that anything you want, you will be getting from that Bim Bogart's paper, that is Suvarna and Ramon who will be putting up in a Moodle. You just read that, and we'll be asking questions from that paper also in your exams. Okay, so that means this you have to take very seriously, that home assignment type things here. Okay, I stop here today.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.